Hi, witches.
Hey, witches.
Welcome to week 4 of the Beginning Witch series.
Beginner Witch series.
This week, we're going to talk about
the witch's box or
Yeah.
the witch's toolbox.
Yeah, we'll
See you in a minute.
I would like to welcome you all to week 4 of the Beginner Witch series.
Yay.
Tonight, we're going to talk about a witch's box. So as I mentioned, this week, we're going to talk about what is a witch's box. I already mentioned it's a place for your tools, but heirloom boxes, you may or may not know this, but heirloom boxes were a big part of our ancestral history, no matter where your family originated. This is how families passed down their most precious possessions. A witch's box is similar. When a witch needs a particular item, wand, book, stone, crystals, candles, dried herb, ritual knife, feathers, incense, old recipes, healing salves, dirt from sacred places, water from sacred places, and the list goes on and on.
Yes.
The witch's box could be a place where those things are held.
This is a good time to mention something that I get asked a lot. And you could believe it different, but I want you to consider why you would believe it different. Is an amethyst this big as powerful as an amethyst, a cathedral amethyst? Does the power lie in the size of the item that you keep? If you get dirt from somewhere, do you need to get a mason jar full, or can you get a small trinket full? Like, explore that for you, because that also depends on what you'll have around in the box. Like, do you need a trunk size box, or could you do something that's smaller? It's just something to think about on how
Something like this size,
Yeah.
maybe?
This is just a little box.
A little box, like you can find these at Goodwill.
This one's from Goodwill. I've
Goodwill.
always planned on redoing it. I haven't yet. But when I get a chance to buy small boxes so I can like put things in there, nobody knows what's in it, I do it. I might be a box hoarder, actually.
So
mini
maybe
box
you want
order.
to talk about this idea right here.
Oh gosh. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't go over the notes before we started. We wrote this a couple
So
days ago.
the longer that ideas or thought, so the longer that ideas or thoughts and beliefs have been in existence, the
Oh,
more energy surrounds that item. These items hold ancestral energy. Think of it like this. Your great grandmother cherished an item, thought about it, used it, held it, carried it, probably prayed on it. Her energy of thought was absorbed into that item, belief, and that manifests into a real thing.
Yeah.
Real energy.
So that's why when you buy something, when you first get something and you own it, it might not feel like yours. It has that new feeling. And the reason it has that new feeling is because your energy has not been impressed upon it. You haven't made a connection with it and things like that. So as we talk about ancestral things that might go into the witches boxes, or why people kept them and just it went to generation, or was given to people for presence or whatever, it's because it's been carried with them and absorbing their energy for so long that thing now has that imprint on it. If you've seen some mediums can touch objects, see the person's life, see things through it. This is the way that objects can carry energy, which is why we cleanse them and charge them and do stuff like that, because we do leave impressions on our items. And when we get new items, they have impressions from elsewhere. We don't always know.
One of the things that I always do is I love Goodwill too, also. So Salvation Army and Goodwill, I go looking for things for around my house, and I will bring them home and put them in my garage and then just smoke the whole garage with sage to like clear off any energy. And something else that I do that's like to connect my energy with a new item, I sleep with it under my pillow. So in this case, I happen to be talking about tarot cards. I probably wouldn't be sleeping with a chest or a box under there, but I might, depending on what it is. If it's like something really cool with all kinds of something really unique, I might want to make sure that somebody else's energy is cleared from it and my energy attaches to it and I connect with that thing. So I might sleep with it.
Yeah.
Me and my dog. So we'll sleep with it.
Well, and have you ever got something that you just never put to use? Like you got it with the intent of using it and then you never found the use for it. It never found its way into your routine. That's stuff you didn't energetically connect with. That's why clutter can be such a bad thing, because it can draw energy away or can bring in unwanted energy that you don't need, and everything gets stuck in there. That's just spiritual materialism if you haven't heard of it yet. It's a term now that people say, where you collect way too much stuff that you don't need because it's pretty or you like it or it's on sale. Yes.
So do you need a witch's box? No, remember that you don't need anything to be a witch. or to practice magic, but there are things that help us feel more magical and raise our vibrations. They help us get into the right frame of mind. And it's nice to have a witch's box is nice to have when you're first getting started for organization. What'd you do?
I made a typo. I was trying to say the New Witches meetup group on Facebook, and I put O in Facebook.
It's nice for when you first get started. You can carry all of your things, items in a special place. You always know where they are, and it helps to keep other people from snooping around in your stuff. And they're especially helpful when you live with other people and they're like, you don't have any, your privacy is limited.
Yeah.
Like if you have kids and stuff, because kids and roommates.
Kids and stuff.
Kids and roommates.
Well, and animals. We know that cats, if anybody has cats and you set things out, like having an altar sometimes is impossible for me because my cats are like, what's that? I should destroy it for you. Don't worry, I got this. And the other thing that I like about keeping stuff in tucked away places like a box or any kind of container that you choose, it doesn't get dirty. So I don't know if you love to dust. I don't like to dust, and my house gets very dusty.
That is a wonderful thing.
And so some of my candles that I've had out, they're very dusty and you can't wipe off the dust from them. And for somebody who has slight OCD, that really annoys me. I don't like using dusty candles. So just a thing, something to consider.
Okay, so here's your first exercise for this week.
Oh, homework time.
Find yourself a box. This one came from, I'm pretty sure this
It's
is
Goodwill.
oh, is it a Goodwill?
It
I was going to
is.
say it's a Hobby Lobby.
No, and I think they do make one like it at Hobby Lobby, but look at
That's
this, you guys.
nice. Wow.
I love finding things that then have like a little note. And so this says, for Stacy, love Guy. A guy, the guy. But it says 6/24/21. So what I assume, since I did get it at a Goodwill, Stacy didn't like Guy that much, or she didn't want the box. And so it didn't energetically connect with her. So I'm able to take it and turn it into something useful. And I'll redo them and try to give them to people because I just like the craft part of it. But it's just funny to find things like that.
But your exercise this week, or part of this lesson, is to get yourself a box, even if it's a shoe box.
Or
You can
container.
you can use a shoe box. You can use a drawer. But
Yeah.
find a place, make a place, decorate it, make it feel like your own, connect with it, where you can store your tools as you start
Whatever tools you have,
start to gather.
whether
them.
it's just for crystals, if you have just tarot cards, if you have a book it's creating a space that allows you to feel like you're taking better care of it than sticking it somewhere and forgetting about it. So it's intentional. We always talk about in witchcraft, setting your intentions and understanding why you're doing it and using the energy of your intentions to set a space. Well, you use the energy of your intentions to set the intention. I feel like I said that word about 10 times for the box. So every time you open and close it, it's like, this is my sacred space for my tools. This is where I care for things. I tend to it. It's like a garden where it doesn't require, but you want to get into it. You want to spend time with it, sift through it, clean it.
Well,
whatever it
and when
is.
you decorate it, do that with intention. So some of the things you can do is decorate with gemstone chips or colors that make you happy, or Mod Podge pictures on your box.
Yeah.
Line your drawers with witchy themed craft
Yes,
paper or
craft
paint the
paper now.
inside.
Halloween craft
Yeah,
paper.
this is a great time to buy Halloween, witchy anything.
Yeah.
It's the time to stock up on it, or actually right after the holiday, we can get everything on sale. To help you decide on colors and themes, here's a few references. So now we're going to get into some things that will be good for you to know and keep in your book of shadows.
Some
If you're
reference
not able to jot these down, remember that if you're subscribed to our mailing list, you're going to get a follow-up email that's going to have all this information in it with you. So again, my apologies for not having last week out. It just really got away.
We're going to get there.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about elements.
It's we chose elements as the first thing to use for decor because actually, I think you're going to say it, aren't you?
What?
I'm jumping ahead,
No,
but
it's okay.
elements are one of the first things that we really learn and understand, especially through the seasons. You start to really get that connection to, oh, this is sort of witchy when you think about it. Zodiac signs, which technically has nothing to do with witchcraft, but it is a form of divination to tell you something more. It's an occult practice, which means a hidden or shrouded in secrecy type practice, because you can't know everything about it. It's always evolving and changing. So we chose the elements because it's very easy to associate colors with elements. So if you're brand new, it's getting into the elements first to understand that energy is just I feel like it's the easiest. I have everybody start there. Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No,
I'm
that's
stealing
okay.
stealing her lesson plan.
So
now.
earth, air, water, fire, these are the building blocks of everything around us. These magical elements are a symbolic way to classify things in our environment. They also help us understand our own energy and what we associate with or feel most connected to. Zodiac signs are the most well-known element connected associations in America today.
With the elements, yeah.
With elements.
Yeah.
So the first one we're going to talk about is Earth. And Earth is the signs Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn are Earth signs. Earth's represented by stones and crystals, dirt, plants, trees, and motherhood.
Motherhood.
Related to material wealth, health, and physical, tangible things. Money and land would belong to the earth element. The color for earth is green. The season is spring. The tarot suit associated with earth is pentacles. Direction is north. This always throws me off because I, for whatever reason, think it should be east, but it's north. Before I confuse you. Other representations, salt and pretty much anything that's green. And when we bury old spells or return items to the earth, this is another way of using the earth element to cleanse and regenerate.
Yeah. So if you've ever heard of grounding, not grounding, I'm sorry, earthing, where people go out barefooted and they walk through the earth, whether it's in dirt or grass, and they're regrounding themselves. This is rooted in science now because science was like, what's going on here? Let's figure that out. So your body changes magnetically even. So it aligns with the earth's magnetic field more, like the ions within your body align with the earth's ions. And so you become more centered and flow with what the earth element is. So when we cleanse things using dirt, like our stones or whatever, I know people love to charge stuff in the moonlight and that's great, but getting it back into the soil and close to the earth again and leaving it there is a way to cleanse things. So I return old spells, like, if you have herbs and the stuff that's biodegradable, I bury it. That's how I return my spells to the earth when they're done, when I don't need them anymore, so that I can reuse the jar and anything else that's reusable within the spell. But that's the cleansing part of it and the regeneration. So the earth absorbs that energy and it turns it into something more useful. Yes. And
you know what is really nice when you're feeling really stressed out, if you go out and just walk barefooted in a park or just get out and in the whole forest and everything, that's a way to connect and de-stress. I just really feel that energy of the earth when I do that.
Yep.
So our second element is air, and this is associated with the signs Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra.
We're Libra moons.
We're Libra moons.
Yeah. So we feel that Libra energy.
So air is represented obviously by the air that we breathe and the wind that blows, even when it's 150 miles an hour and about to take your roof off. Just saying, I was trying to figure out how to harness that energy the other day, but it was so nerve-wracking to be sitting in my house while the wind was howling outside. It was awful. Anyway, it's related. So air is related to thoughts and mental processes. Conversations or ideas would belong to the element of air. The color for air is yellow, and the season is winter. And the tarot is swords. Direction is east. Other representation includes feathers, incense, and yellow things. So these are things that you might find and start putting into your box. Like we always find feathers. So we have a large collection of feathers.
Doesn't matter what color.
I happen to really have embraced yellow since I moved here as one of my things. Color. Yes, it's like I never liked yellow until I came to Florida, and now I do.
Well, and for anybody else who wants more associations, or maybe you're not into this specific thing, sorry, Mom.
That's okay.
There's planets associated. So we all know that the Mercury retrograde happens several times a year. And when they always say, they're like, oh, communication is going to be messed up. Well, that's part of it, right? That's like the communication things that are flowing through the air, thoughts, words, that all moves through air in order to be heard by the next person to get to the next thing. So you can look at the planets for associations if you want to. And then I didn't think about it, but chakras also. So she's saying like yellow is more her thing. Well, your solar plexus is the yellow chakra. So you could even use that as an association through colors as you build your boxes and stuff.
And stone crystals, of course, yellow crystals.
Yeah.
So When we collect or carry feathers, we carry with us the element of air and the ease of things that flow through the air, communication, thoughts, knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. So would you like to, you want to go? You want me to keep going?
You're so good. And I did not look over our notes before we started and had sort of a,
we put our lesson together in the middle of a hurricane, by the way.
well, yeah. So, I mean, it's just, I did a lot of things today and I'm not in tune with, as she talks, I'm so good at riffing, but I'm not great at reading off the page. That is not my skill.
Okay. All right. Our next element, I hope I'm like at least an interesting presenter here. So the next element is fire, which is associated with Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Those are your fire signs.
And we all know when we meet that Sag or that Aries or that Leo person.
They're really, yeah.
They're
like the sun. I'm the sun. And
I mean,
I'm the brightest light in the universe.
There's nothing bad, but they just have a very forward energy usually. And so you just know.
Especially for people like Jamie and I, we're both water signs. I'm a Scorpio, she's a Pisces. So we're like very much on that emotional level. And the fire signs, I don't know.
Well, they're more hyper than us. We're like,
yeah.
we're like super chill.
Super chill.
and they get more hyper.
So fire obviously is represented by fire, any kind of fire, candles, incense, is also associated with the color red, action, change, and lightning.
Yeah, lightning. I love that one, you guys. Okay, because people don't ever say like that lightning could be part of the fire sign, but that's what lightning is. I mean, electricity is kind of like harnessed fire running through wires and stuff. So just to think about it, I mean, we could say electricity is associated with the fire sign. It brings things to light like fire does. I mean, I don't know. So you can read into these things as much as you want to, and you can find things that you associate for yourself. Well, like we have talked about that the color yellow, we didn't associate with air. That's been very hard for me because I want to associate the color white with air. I don't know why, maybe clouds.
I don't know why it's yellow.
It's because you know what it is when you're a little kid and they give you the crowns, just the 5 colors, and they're like,
she meant crayons. My daughter says crowns.
I'm gonna own my terrible speech when I have it. I grew up saying it. I'm not changing it now.
All right. Anyway, crayons.
Okay, the crayons, the crowns, just like orange is. Okay, there's oranges. When you colored a sun when you were little, what color did you color it? You colored it yellow. So I associate the sun with fire. So the yellow thing, like it doesn't mix for me. So I will tell you guys that for a long time, I didn't use yellow as my air symbol. So if yellow does not fit for you, if you find another color that feels more like air to you, it could be gray, it could be white, it could be something else, light blue, use that color, because the more association that you have with it, rather than hearing somebody say like, oh no, the actual color for it is this. What do they say? Pish posh, hogwash, whatever. It doesn't matter what somebody else uses. Use what you're comfortable with.
Well, and I think that's something that we could probably say with every single lesson that we do. Like, what do you connect with?
Yeah.
Because I think I mentioned this in the last meetup. Maybe there's no book.
There's no
book of witchcraft and witchery or anything to tell us all how things are supposed to be done.
Or that one way is the right way.
Or that one way is the right way. And you'll hear a lot of opinions. And people are very opinionated, which is fine, but do it. You know what? If it feels right to you, do it. If it doesn't, then move toward the things that feels right to you.
Yeah.
So fire is related to the masculine, passion, rage, creativity, and phallic shapes. So there's selenite that comes in little phallic
towers.
Yeah, towers.
Selenite towers.
Yeah, selenite towers. I really love those. The color for fire is red. The season is summer.
That makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, right? The tarot associated with fire is wands. The direction is south, which is the warmest. So that makes sense to me. That connects with me. Other representation, candles and red things.
Yeah.
Since we've talked about candles a couple times, I just want to mention that you don't need to, even though if you look up spells, it'll say you need a gold candle and a green candle and a red candle to do this spell. No, you don't. You really don't. You just need candles. You don't have to have a particular color. So don't ever feel like you have to find some obscure color of candle, or a spell that you're going to do isn't going to work because
you don't have the right color candle.
Because you don't have the right color candle, because that's not true.
I always love this. You guys have seen the candles. If you look up anything witchy, there's the candles for love and relationships and whatever. And it's like the man and the man and woman next to each other, and you like burn it for whatever. And all that comes to mind, I'm like, nobody did this back in the day. Nobody had that. Like, it's not something that you have to do today. That's like the reason it's going to work, because it's a man and a woman candle and the whole shape and everything. I'm like, man, they made candles out of beeswax. Like, no, it didn't have shapes and colors way back in the day. It was lucky if it was, not lopsided. So consider us lucky that we have so many choices of candles. And if you want to get into, just candle magic, there's many books on that as well.
But your spells will work just as well with a white candle as they will with a color candle, because you're going to put your energy into that and your intention into that. So for our last and our favorite, I say it's my favorite because I love my water sign. So water, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Of course, we are the emotional people of the zodiac. But
as she says that, do you hear her voice? Of course, we are the emotional people of the zodiac.
But we're very
She gets into her sexy Scorpio voice. Real fast it changed.
So we are represented by bodies of water and vessel shapes like cups, bowls, and chalices. It's a feminine energy. I totally relate to that.
Listen, you look like you got high while you read this. You're getting all squinty-eyed and super relaxed. She's in her vibe now, you guys.
It's a feminine energy. The womb of the goddess, the great mother, are associated with water, or feminine energy. Water is associated with feelings, emotions, and nurturing. The color for the water element is blue. The season is fall or autumn.
I don't make sense of that. You guys let me know what you think. Either. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know how we got fall or autumn, but anyway.
I don't know where else we'd be, but I don't know.
Let's see. The tarot associated with that is cups, which makes sense because vessels.
It's a chalice.
Chalice.
Something to
Direction is west. Other representations: seashells, blue things, shadow self, and anything to carry water in. So, all right. So that was a lot of information. And again, if you subscribe, you'll get an email with all this in a follow-up email.
Well, and remember that all these references were to help you think of ideas on what you could do with your boxes, decorate them, a space within your, a drawer, a shelf, anything that you're really trying to create that's owning it for you. So whatever you felt connected to with those things, we hope that helps you create a little sacred place for your stuff. Or if you're just beginning and you don't want to really even put anything there, it's like, if you go somewhere that has shells, collect a few and set them in your house. It doesn't have to be an elaborate project. It just needs to have meaning for you. Just you need to know what it means, nobody else.
All right, so some things that could go into your witch's box. These are witches' common misunderstood tools. Wands.
Like an actual wand.
Like an actual wand.
Yeah.
Wands are made from all kinds of material: wood, crystal, metal, or any combination of these materials. If you search Etsy, you'll get 100,000 items that are wand related. Really beautiful.
I love the way she says Etsy. She says Etsy.
Sorry.
Every time I've been trying, it's been like a year and a half. See, wait. We're gonna just point out that I may say crown wrong, but you can't get Etsy down. Okay,
it should be Etsy. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I'm a little bit dyslexic. Okay, so let's see. A search of Etsy for wands returns over 1,000 items or 100,000 items.
100,000 wands.
100,000 wands if you search. And then I did this a year ago or earlier in the year, so maybe more now. If you can narrow that down to witchcraft wands, and it's about 5,000. And these range the prices on Etsy for these wands, and they're beautiful. Some of them are absolutely stunning. $20 to over $1,000. It's crazy. But you don't need to buy a wand if you don't want to. You don't even need to have a wand if you don't want to.
Wands are a personal choice.
Yeah.
We're not, do we go into the history of wands or anything like later? We do witches tools, don't we, at some point? Not in this lesson, but like at another point.
I don't remember.
Shoot. Well, because I just want to tell you guys something really quick about wands. If you've never had an instructional or found something, or anybody's ever talked to you about a wand, but wands were originally staffs, you know, the big walking sticks that people had, and they did use them to draw in the sand for stuff. I mean, yes, they were probably used for walking as well, but when there would be gatherings, they would outline where people should be, you know, to create some kind of organization. So the wand was an extension of somebody's will to have organization and to create. So when we do casting circles, it used to be that they would actually draw shaped circles on the ground in dirt in order to organize how things were going to be done. So now that wands are short, and we, like from Harry Potter, wherever you've seen a wand at, the purpose of the wand is supposed to be an extension of your will and of what you're trying to direct with energy. So that's why I'm not comfortable using wands, because I just like, I use my, like, I see it in my mind what's going on instead of using like something out here. I just feel silly when I do it. So I don't. Personal preference all the way. I think they're beautiful. I like them, but it's as simple as like, it's an extension of your first finger, which in palmistry, this is your power finger. This is where things, you know, come from, flow to, and can come back to you. And you're just, that's all you're doing with it, is creating more of a long energy field to direct something. So that's why people have wands, and it's misunderstood as far as like what they're supposed to do, but they are a fire symbol. So they're about change and action. That's why they're used in spells and to separate you out and, you know, do protection and stuff. I don't know how far I got into your lesson by saying that, but I just figured a demonstration might be nice.
No, that was actually up next. So
I
that's
have
very
a
good.
selenite wand that I created for myself, but I didn't bring it. I forgot. I'm so sorry. Another time. Maybe a whole video on wands.
So I saw somebody said they found a cool stick, twisted stick on a hike.
Yes.
That makes it, those make beautiful wands. I found a nice stick that's got some like air plant on it. I was like, this is so cool.
And they don't always have to be like something that you use. It can be a representation. So if you have a wand in your witch's box, that can just be your representation for the fire element. And then that's it. You don't ever have to use it as a wand. You can have the thing and it's a representation of what you want it to be for.
And the reason that it's fire is because fire is associated, the tarot that's associated with fire is the suit wands. Let's see. So
I wanted to say, think about it like a lightning bolt did really come out of it, like Harry Potter. They did get that part right. That's definitely the action, the change, the fire, making something move, creating a powerful like gust of something to like, I want this done, gone, changed, whatever. That is what the wand symbolizes.
okay, so here is your second exercise for this week. If
Second
you would
homework.
like to do this, and again, if this tool doesn't resonate with you, then don't. If you don't connect with it, don't get it. But I think they're kind of cool to have laying around. But it doesn't mean that I use them. I just like the way they look. So anyway, your exercise this week is to go on a mission to acquire something that you can use as a wand. If you're so inclined, decorate it. And if you're also so inclined, please take a picture and share it with us in our Facebook group.
The private group.
The private group. So
Yeah.
we would love to see that. Okay. Next thing that you might have in your witch's box is ritual knives. So this ritual knives is a practice made popular by Wicca. Neither one of us have ever had a knife. So,
No,
but
it
if you
doesn't vibe
like,
with
but
us.
if you like that, if you vibe with a knife, then more
Get it.
power to you.
Get
Get it.
An
And
Athame. Yeah.
uh,
So that's what they call it through Wicca, which whatever you want to call it. I don't, you know, you can name your knife, you can give it its own name. Like the Game of Thrones swords all had names, right? Because it talked about it was
needle.
basically
I love Arya Stark's needle.
it
If
just
anybody was a Game of Thrones fan.
it's supposed to have meaning on its origin or what it references or what you use it for. So if you want to name it, I mean, there's all these things that you can get into it with, and it's just your personal practice. Remember, you don't have to share this with anybody, and it can be really just sacred for you. It's meant to be special for you, and nobody should be judging what you do. So if you like show somebody and they're like, oh.
So, so where these came from, again, these are, the ritual knives are primarily associated with rituals. Athames and ceremonial knives are used in Wiccan rituals, such as the Great Rite, a representation of the union between masculine energy, the knife, and feminine energy, the vessel. They're usually blunt and double-edged with a black handle. Usually, I don't know who said that, but
Probably Gerald
there's
Gardner.
there's Bolines. There's also a Boline, which are sharp and have a curved handle. So there's these two different kinds of knives that you'll probably see at some point in time in your sort of in your research and as you're learning.
And you have what that's for, right? No,
The Boline.
Boline. Originally, it was a
no.
harvesting tool. So say you were to go out and like harvest your herbs and stuff. This would have been a small harvesting tool. It's curved like, what's that thing called? The sickle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sickle.
It had the same idea and use of that. When we stopped doing that on our own, when we stopped gardening and growing our own herbs, we didn't need that. I use scissors to cut my stuff down or small garden shears. So that's, I don't enjoy clipping my plants. Actually, it's one of my bad habits, trimming, because I just don't like cutting off live stuff. I don't like it. And if I can't turn it into another plant, I feel really bad throwing it in the lawn trash. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I know that you put all your energy into growing that and I just cut it off of you. So whatever you feel, trimming is necessary. I do it to harden up my water heart.
All right. So your last thing to do for this week is, in addition to the exercises I've already given you, is to take some of the information from this lesson and the email that you'll get after. And somebody asked how to sign up.
I wrote
email.
it down.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure we get that in the chat again, but
Okay.
otherwise I'll be like this in the screen.
Take
trying to do
take some of what you got from this week's lesson and transfer it into your Book of Shadows or a grimoire, a reference,
Or
whatever you're
journal.
using, or a journal, whatever you want to use as a reference, because the elements, all of the elements that we discussed, there's a lot of information in there that you will find will come in handy for you later on.
Yeah.
And you'll want to be able to look back and you'll think, oh, what was that again about the fight? Which way was that?
It's definitely a building block for if you want to grow in knowledge per se, and then in practice later. This is something that's referenced just almost everywhere that you go. So when you get this down to some base knowledge, it's one less thing you have to learn later when you're trying to pick up another thing. The one beautiful thing about witchcraft that I have found is no matter what practice you really get into, everything can come back to something else. It literally is like a link chain and it's all together. It doesn't matter if you go into another religion, if you go into like Buddhism, even the Muslim story, the Jesus story, Christianity, all of it, you can find links that all of this stuff comes right back to that has relevancy. So it's a good building block to understand it as far as energies of the earth and while we're here, and then seeing it in the eyes of other people and other cultures and how they use these, the elements. So was that the end? Did we finish?
That was the end.
I'm so proud of us. It's 7:41.
That was the end. That was a lot of information.
It was.
So
It was more like a textbook reading.
Yeah, it really was.
With not a lot of show and tell. Thank you so much for joining us tonight to talk about the witch's box and all the possibilities that it can hold and the associations that go with it. We hope that you found this lesson useful and that you can put it to use. Take some of the references and practice with them. See what it feels like. And as you get those thoughts and ideas, record it in your Book of Shadows, your grimoire, or just your journal. See you next time.
See you next time.